Welcome to the Business Development Podcast, brought to you by the Global Business Development Association, delivering the strategies and tactics to boost your career and corporate growth.
Hello, BD pros, and welcome to the Global Business Development Association's podcast called What is Business Development? So, look, business is war. Okay, maybe it's not real war, but metaphorically, it's war. And in today's crowded, noisy market, your survival depends on how well you fight. Well, today, if you want to get the guidebook on how to fight well, then we're going to talk about the new rules of marketing warfare. It's a new book by our friend, and there's the book itself from Kevin McGrew. Kevin is a Navy veteran, entrepreneur, and marketing strategist with over 30 years of business building experience. As the founder and CEO of EverSocial, Kevin has led the transformation of countless mid-sized companies into dominant market players by applying his proprietary SMAC framework, SMAC. That stands for shoot, move, adapt, and communicate. And if you're a former warfighter, you probably know those words really well. And his latest book, The New Rules of Marketing Warfare, is a tactical guide to navigating the modern digital battlefield. From tracking submarines in the Arabian Sea during his Navy Sea service to founding and selling multiple tech and media companies, Kevin's life is marked by resilience, reinvention, and strategic clarity. And you get a lot of strategic clarity in his book with these battle-tested guides and frameworks for entrepreneurs, marketers, and business leaders who are ready to win more customers, scale with precision, and outmaneuver bigger competitors. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners who are business developers, yeah, you want a lot of that, don't you? Well, based on Kevin's SMAC framework, again, that shoot, move, adapt, and communicate, this book gives you a clear tactical plan to take the offensive in your market. You'll learn how to target the right audience, move faster than your competition, adapt to shifting conditions, and communicate with clarity and impact. No fluff, no theory, just real-world marketing strategy drawn from military principles, business street smarts, and decades of in-the-trenches experiences. If you're ready to stop playing defense and start dominating your space, this is your field manual. Kevin McGrew, welcome aboard.
Well, it's great to be here with you, Tony. Thank you. To a fellow sailor, and can I come on board, sir?
Yeah, permission granted. Come aboard. Let's do this, shipmate.
Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah, no, thank you for having me. Thank you for the intro. Great intro. I'm going to use that.
Yeah. Hey, well, it's fun to intro folks like you, and such a fun book. I really enjoyed it. With, of course, my Navy background, the shared perspectives there. It's always fun. And of course, we hear a lot of these military metaphors in the modern business world, especially in business development. Words like targeting, engagement. Yes. These are the same words we used in the military. We were both in the same fields, operating in command and control. And this is what you need. You need it's first of all, it's fun, perspective, but it also draws into the fact that this is serious stuff. And you can share a lot of those same principles, but folks, this is not full with military metaphors. This is really solid tactical guidance and strategic operational guidance as well to understand how to build a fully functional marketing program that generates results in the complex marketing environment that we're in today. And I'll even go so far as to say this is for business developers. You have to read this book. You have to speak marketing fluently. Those are our teammates that are generating the leads. They're generating those targets for us. And, if you're in an enterprise environment, you have to be joined at the hip with your marketing team. They need to understand your operations, your processes, your feedback to them, and vice versa. And then if you're in these, what I call low intent threshold markets, think consumer products, a lot of that business development is done by marketing
Yes.
and automated in many ways. So, complex battle space that we're in as business developers. Good news is you can hear right from Kevin McGrew, the author of the book, and learn about his SMAC framework, SMAC. So, Kevin, let's jump right in.
Sure.
Let's get a sense from you, just kind of the origin story. Why did you write the book?
I was originally, it was something I wanted to write to my kids. It was, my dad had a saying, he was a Marine. So you know how we are with the Marine Corps, but that's why I joined the Navy, to piss him off. But, yeah, he had an acronym that he used in our home called FAW, find an effing way. And it was a mindset of, it takes just as much energy to find a way than it does to find an excuse. But our brains likes for us to default to the easiest route to the ocean. And so that's usually the simplest way to get out of doing things. And so I had to retrain my brain to think, how do I just solve problems quickly? And so that was turned into a letter to my children, which was about surviving in this world. And then it eventually, as I became an entrepreneur, launched 6 businesses, sold 3 of them, the battle scars that I developed through that, and my early military experience. I was a young man. I was 18 years old. You were you went to college first, but you went to the Naval Academy. I was in the fleet. And I learned, it impacted me because I came from even though I was surrounded by a lot of discipline, it was controlled, it was chaos. In the military, I learned controlled chaos. And I remember looking at my peers, the older guys in the Combat Information Center, when we were in the middle of the Cold War, going up against the Russians, hot and heavy situations going on, and everybody is calm, cool, and collected. And that just so impressed me because I grew up in a lot of chaos. And so I applied what I learned in the military to this FAW principle, to what I learned in business. And what I learned in business, through, especially now with statistics, is the SBA says that 50% of businesses will fail by year 5. Typically, that is from a lack of understanding marketing. I come from the business development side. That's my strength. I was a business developer. I would call it more of a salesman. I think business development is a refined aspect of sales and marketing. It comes with frameworks and discipline and EQ, as you say, EQ and IQ, kind of thing. But that you have to evolve to that, and you have to be trained for that. And I think that's where the military training also played out. So the SMAC framework is basically, when the bullets are flying, you need something to turn to your training and something that works, that you can trust in, that's going to take you through the bullets. And so that's SMAC in a nutshell. That's where it came from.
Yeah, a great origin story. I often tell people you have to focus on the first principles. And I like that the SMAC framework really breaks things down to first principles because, when we were in the military, everybody learned how to shoot, and they taught you 3 things when you shot. And, they taught you weapon safety, right? Point it toward the enemy. Don't point it toward anybody else.
That's right.
Here's where the safety is. Second of all is trigger control. Don't jerk it. Don't jerk back on the trigger itself. And sight alignment. Those are the 3 things. And if you nailed those 3 things, you would, odds are,
high likelihood you're going to hit.
High likelihood of hitting the target, right? And you just, when you're in the thick of it, when you're in those high stress environments, your brain can only process so much.
Correct.
And so, when the brain can just focus on these 3 fundamental principles while your hands are shaking and things are going crazy, that's what you need. And when you're in business development and you're on that call, you're on that cold call, you're in that sales pitch, you're in that presentation, and you get a question you've never received before. Wow. Going to first principles can be extremely powerful. And look, if you're starting off your business with this horrible success rate of that you mentioned, I mean, 50%, that's come on.
Right.
That's no way to run a business. Um, and and when those fail, it's insufficient cash. I think like 90+% of the companies that fail are failing because they have insufficient revenue coming in the door. Period. End of story.
Yes. In
You
the
don't have
story.
revenue. If you don't have business development, you don't have a business.
Right. Yeah.
And so
Most
that,
people are, they're not, people aren't aware of their business because most people don't understand the principles of marketing, which is much more of a awareness aspect where BD is delivering this, or, really delivering what you do and solving problems. And so, yes, marketing, most business owners don't like marketing because there's a lot of, foo-foo, in people's minds or woo-woo stuff, going on Facebook ads or, Google ads. How does that work? And it's quite confusing. And so, just like climbing Mount Everest, we're not going to go and climb Mount Everest as a rookie. We're going to hire a Sherpa, and same with BD. You got to hire a professional, somebody who's got all these skills that have been developed to go and guide you through the mountains so you don't die. Now, I know I kind of talk extreme, business is war, marketing is the battle, all these kind of things, but I'm trying to shift the thinking because it's serious business. People are failing and dying on the battlefield. And so that's why I wrote the book. I can only help so many. It's kind of like the kid on the beach throwing the starfish back in the water. This guy jogs past him. He says, "Hey kid, you're not going to help that many of them." And he picked up another one. He threw it in. He says, "Well, tell it to that one," kind of thing. And so that was I felt frustrated. I can only help so many people. And so I wanted to take everything that I learned as an entrepreneur, as a founder, as somebody who's raised money, but also somebody who didn't have the marketing. I had to learn through the School of Hard Knocks marketing. I put that in the book so I could help a lot more people. And so, and today, I'm finding that through community, people read the book. It's kind of like a boot camp. When we all went to boot camp, you go through learn your founding principles. You need a community to practice those skills, to apply those skills in a way that you can go. And you talked about it a little bit earlier with having those quick things as a business development person. I remember the first thing I learned was from Zig Ziglar. It was called the 3 Fs. Have you heard of the 3 Fs?
yeah, big fan of Zig Ziglar. That's where
Yeah.
I received most of my business development training.
Yeah,
was
that's
his
where
cassette.
he was my guy for business development, man. Because I was a kid selling mailing machines, knocking on doors, trying to figure out how to convince people to buy something. I was being a salesman. I wasn't being a business development person, right? And when the lights went off, like, "Kevin, what about this?" And I didn't know what to say. You have to have a quick answer. And so feel, felt, found, the 3 Fs. Hey, Mr. Customer, I understand how you feel. A lot of people have felt that way too, but they found when they actually bought the mailing machine that they had more time to tend to customer stuff than licking envelopes, whatever it was. And that helped me through literally going from selling, 4-figure deals to 5-figure and ultimately 6-figure deals. And it was not that I knew an answer to everything, but I knew how to answer their questions in a way that allowed them to know there's a solution there.
Yeah, great wisdom from Zig Ziglar. And having these frameworks in mind are critical. And I like the fact that this comes from a place of giving for you writing this book. And so tell you what, why don't you grab a couple of starfish and throw them at our community of listeners, and let's jump into the SMAC framework. Let's break it down into the top 3 tactics from the SMAC framework. Can we do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to do that. So yeah, the SMAC framework, as Tony mentioned earlier, stands for shoot, move, adapt, communicate. And, it's a principle used in the military, again, in chaos, to keep moving forward and take ground. And so it comes really from David versus Goliath. And David didn't go up against Goliath with a helmet, a shield, a sword, and a spear. He would have died in the field because he's outgunned. And so he went to what he knew well, his slingshot. And basically every Goliath has a weakness. You just have to spend the time in understanding what that weakness is and then focus on it. So that's where the shoot principle comes in. So shoot is targeting with precision. If you know who your audience is, in marketing, it's about audience segmentation. In BD, it's really understanding who is your ideal partner profile or client profile. And so you got to zero in on that top 10%. Everybody goes, who's your customer? Well, anybody with a credit card. You can't go to war with that. So you, as a business development person, less is more. Early in my business career, I went after 5 large technical companies. One of them was Electronic Arts. So I studied everything about those 5 clients. Electronic Arts is a gaming company. They had a lot of technology. I had developed a software to track technology. I had a solution, but it's something new. It's disruptive. Nobody ever heard of it before. So I focused. I studied my audience, who I'm going after. I knew that in the midst of the battlefield, if they walked in front of me, I would know who they are. And so I shared tailored insights for them on inventory and cost savings because I knew their problems, their pain points, what they're doing. So that's precision targeting. Focus on the 10% who deliver 90% of the value. So that's number one tactic for in alignment with the SMAC principle.
Yeah, I like that. Having that that targeting, that and understanding where you will get the highest return on investment. I've talked to some folks and they say, "Well, yeah, but you're not helping all of the possible customers." And I say, "No, you're misunderstanding. What you're doing is investing your time and effort as a business developer on those that need the most help, that are most likely to buy and find tremendous value from solution. That does not mean you will exclude other customers. It
Exactly.
just means that in your focus, in your outbound focus, you will focus on those that have the highest return on investment. And some may say, well, that's kind of a calloused approach. My answer to that is think of yourself as a lifeguard. Okay. Your mission is to get to the people that are in most need of your services. You want to save the people that are in the worst extremis. And so if you're just running around the beach randomly trying to save people who don't need to be saved, they're sipping on a Mai Tai on their
Right.
on their chair, they don't need saving. Okay? They may
Exactly.
want some information from you. That's great, but you need to get out into the water and go save those people that are in most need. And it's unfair to them if you're wasting your time running up and down the beach, tripping over sandcastles, trying to save people that don't need any saving. And so
Great
I think
analogy.
this idea of targeting is so fundamental to business development. And look, let's face it, you're going to waste a bunch of cycle times too if you're focusing on those that will not have a return on investment, and subsequently your business will suffer as well. So I really like this wisdom of focusing on the high value targets, as we call them
Yes,
in the military.
HVTs. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So let's unpack that a little bit, Kevin. When you're identifying your high value targets, what are you doing to, like, what kind of data are you looking at to really find, okay, this is it. I feel really comfortable. This is my high value target.
Yeah, you definitely. We in the world we live today too. We have things like AI that can help with that market research, but it's really what we do in marketing is we don't just kind of spray and pray. That's kind of the default. Hey, let's see what falls down when I shoot. Kind of thing, right? But we really do market research, and we really try to understand who the audience is, what are their pain points, what's their journey, where do they buy in that journey, and wait for them in waiting so we can hit them right when they're ready to buy, right? Instead of shooting them too early in the funnel, awareness stage. We call it IDA. I don't know if you heard of IDA,
Oh yeah.
but it stands for awareness, interest, desire, action. So no one's going to take action if they have a desire. If they don't have a desire, they're not taking action. And if they don't have a desire, it's probably because they're not interested. And they're not interested because they're just not aware of it. So a lot of times we're trying to shoot at the bottom of the barrel when we don't know where they're at in the process and in the buying. And if you won't really get a client, you might get someone to buy from you, like sales versus BD. But if they've been through the whole funnel, if they're aware, they drop down. Now I'm interested. Now I have a desire. I want to take action. All you are as a business development person is there to help them move from action to getting a solution. And so your job is to get them through the funnel. If you're in the middle of the funnel and they're not up there, bring them up to the top, get them through. And so that's what we do as marketers virtually, but as business development people, that's how we shepherd them through that process. And so a lot of times we get all excited about the sale. We have to really be, that IQ and EQ is understanding what are their hesitancies and bringing them through that, basically not selling them anything, but solving their problems.
Yeah. I really like how you explain that, Kevin, because that is the exact framework we talk about in the business development body of knowledge that all business development professionals who are certified must learn. This concept of, understanding that marketing is creating the awareness and the brand activation phase. Some people call it nurturing.
Right.
Help guiding folks through that funnel is what business developers do until the point where they raise their hand and say, okay, I'm ready to buy. Great. That's when you get sales involved, and sales, they're the closers. Their mission is to convert them as efficiently and as effectively as possible. But you have to understand that targeting mindset. And that's, some will be ready, and that's great. And some will never be ready. And that's fine too. You have to know which ones are the prospects you need to focus on. So really valuable information there. Okay, so that's step number one. That's primary tactic number one is targeting. Understanding your ideal customer profile, your ideal targets, and where are they? Where are they in the channels? Where are they, if you will, on the battlefield? Where do they live? Are they on podcasts? Do they listen to podcasts?
Right.
Are they watching YouTube videos? Are they scrolling through LinkedIn? Where are they? Who are they? This is fundamental. Okay, let's jump into primary takeaway tactic number 2.
So I've merged 2 and 3 of the SMAC framework into one here called Move and Adapt. And it's what I call the sprint, learn, pivot phase, basically. And so, you need to treat each outreach like a rapid pilot, I call it. Is, especially in business development, it's there's a lot of learning going on a lot of times, and you can't apply the same to every customer. And so I'll give you an example with a SaaS client. We ran a 48-hour multi-touch sprint, kind of like a hackathon, just like you would run a hackathon we focused on emails, custom reports, calls. Then we reviewed the results over the next 48 hours, basically, and how did we do? And then we pivoted or we tweaked our value props. We relaunched if we needed to. We closing our major integration pilot in 2 weeks. We were able to move faster, adapt faster, and do things in micro steps versus trying to take a long campaign through and smoking hopium, we called it. This way, at the end, you're at where you want to go. In the military, we did the same thing. We had plotted a course to where we would want to go. The oceans pushed us in different directions. There was other types of weather, things we had to go around, but we ultimately were able to shoot, move, adapt, and then move towards our intended goal. And so move and adapt is sprint, learn, and pivot in your efforts and apply those. And then you can apply those to different clients very quickly. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, that's great. And you have to be willing to move and adapt. You have to look at the data
Yes,
objectively. It's easy to fall in love with your favorite channel. It's
totally.
easy to fall in love with your favorite marketing tactic. But look, if it's not coming together, don't do it. You're not getting any return on investment because it's not resonating with your high value targets. And being adaptable to the marketplace and a lot of these exogenous threats to your marketplace. You have technology that's evolving quickly. You have your competitors. You talk about
Yes,
this in your book. You have to keep a close eye on your competitors
yes.
and what they are doing. What's working for them? Where are they engaging?
And what's
Where are
not
they?
working,
Yeah.
right?
What more importantly, yeah, what's not working for them, and where are they not operating? That's
Correct.
I really liked how you pieced all of that together to kind of understand the full common operational picture of, where are your high value targets, where are your competitors, and kind of having that constant picture because it's changing practically every day. It's
There's
changing.
so much noise too, like finding those white spaces and dominating there. It might not be where you want to end up, right? But if you can dominate there, it's easier to move to dominance than going through the battlefield.
Yeah, and I also like the fact that you talk about testing.
Yes.
Test and try out new things because your competitor's not doing them. Uh,
No.
and then of course you have to measure those tests to see if they're really achieving a return on investment. Okay, so move and adapt is the key second takeaway and tactic. What's the third, Kevin?
The third is communicate. Um, Imagine it like one unified story. So, it's difficult to have a library in your head of every possible solution. What you need to do is really prepare and know what your narrative is as a company. What's your hero's story? What solutions are you solving? It's easy to get distracted, shiny objects, and honestly tell the customer what they want to hear. A lot of times that's not going to get you to where you want to go. So stakeholders at every level need the same narrative. So in the military, we had standard operating procedures for situations, kind of thing. So whatever job it was, you could step in and do that job. And like, there's a franchisor as an example that was expanding to 30 markets. And so we help them with building a master deck, highlighting the ROI and the brand consistency so that the entire organization would be able to speak the same language to all their clients distributed in various geos and representations. So yeah, regional teams added local case studies to theirs, but the core story never wavered. And the franchisees, as they grew the franchises, that it was much easier for them to bring on new franchises because everybody was telling the same story. So that's one way we did that with the client. But every business needs to know what their story is, and the BD people with the marketing people with the sales people all need to work together on that common unified story and
Yeah,
message.
I like what you said in your book. If you feel like you're saying it too much and you're tired of hearing it and your clients are tired of hearing it and your community's tired of hearing it, you're doing it right.
Exactly.
Right. It's
Exactly. And
like
they'll thank you later because they can go and repeat it to somebody else. What do those guys do? Oh, let me tell you. I know, yeah.
yeah, it's like trying to get onto the top charts of a song, right? It becomes an earworm that you can just sing off the top of your head because you've heard it so many times because it's in the top 10. That's what you want. You want to publish a top 10 hit that everybody knows the words to, and they're all singing along in the audience. So I really like the communicate concept and really nailing down that communication piece. A couple other great things from the book. You talk about being able to tell the story for your business, but I like in
Yes.
the book that you also, in each chapter, you finish with kind of a case study on a specific company and how they applied that tactic to
Yes.
their, and so that's great. Oftentimes you can read so many of these books and yeah, they're great tactics, but they don't give you any kind of a context. And these are brand names
Yes.
that you present in your book that pretty much everybody probably knows. And they're fascinating stories, and they're not long too. I mean, probably like 3 to 5 pages for each one of these stories, but they really kind of give you that, oh yeah, okay, I understand. I understand the scenario. The other thing I like about this book, Kevin, and we did not get a chance to dig into it. I know we have a limited time here, but what's, you again, you often hear these tactics that people talk about, but they never mention the technology and how to actually
Mhm.
implement that. And you do that in this book. You talk about kind of each phase of business, and then for each phase, what should you be doing with your technology, your MarTech? People call it marketing
Yep.
technology, MarTech stack, if you will. I call it BD tech.
Yeah.
Um, and that's great. You talk about each phase. What should you be doing with your website? What should you be doing with your socials? And you're taking a lot of that track history that you've had from helping your clients succeed and helping your company succeed. You know what works, you know what doesn't work, and what's really good is you do it for each phase of business growth, so that business developers, as you're listening and taking notes on these tactics, you can also start to learn the technology that marketing is using. And then that way you can start to converse and understanding, okay, what are my weapon systems? I've understand now, I have
Exactly.
the common operational picture. I have our battle strategy. What are our weapon systems that we're using on our
Right.
ship to engage these high value targets? And so I encourage everybody to get a copy of the book. Again, folks, it's a fun read. It's a very insightful read. It's called The New Rules of Marketing Warfare: A Battle Plan for Winning Customers, Scaling Quickly, and Beating Competitors. So, Kevin, how can folks follow your work and learn more about these strategies?
Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Yeah, the best way to kind of, if you're in the business realm and development realm, LinkedIn is a place I'm very active on. That's how Tony and I met. I post there weekly, daily, and a lot of these practical strategies and tactics. So definitely connect with me. I'd love to connect with you. Send me a message. I'm very interactive. Also, our business website, eversocial.com. That's our marketing agency. We do this, we help businesses. If you need some marketing help, give us a call. Happy to give you a ask me anything session, a free consultation, or free, I'm not trying to sell you anything, but see if we can help you. And then definitely, if you're wanting a little bit more of my playful side, it's I am Kevin on Instagram. Is my kind of who I am as an agency owner, father, husband, all that stuff. And then my alter ego is Cigar Man Official. That's where I smoke cigars, drink bourbon, and share some wisdom. It's kind of my most interesting man in the world ego, or alter ego, I should say. So yeah, those are some great places to follow me. And the book is on Amazon and other online stores. So go get it. And right now I have it on sale on Kindle. But buy the one little plug for the book is all proceeds go to an organization called the Champions Club, because I believe in never leaving anybody behind. And it's Champions Clubs helps helps, I want to say small businesses, but helps families with children who have special needs. And it's a global ministry and organization, and they're doing an incredible job. And so I'm very big on supporting them. So all the proceeds go to that. So buy a hard copy and help them out too.
Guys, that's how you know you're listening to a superb business developer. Business developers, we're here to help. We're givers. And you are doing that, Kevin. It was fun sharing sea stories with you as a couple of old sailors and talking through marketing tactics, the SMAC approach: shoot, move, adapt, communicate, and have those first principles at your hip, at your side, that you can use every day in business development. And Kevin, I just want to thank you for everything you're doing for the nonprofit initiative, everything you do for our community. It comes from a wonderful place of giving. And thank you for throwing out a couple of starfish today to some of those business developers that are listening.
It's been a pleasure, Tony. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Business Development Podcast. Join our free community of corporate partners and business development professionals advancing the art, science, and ethics of the business development profession at gbdassociation.org.